Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we're about all things cinema. Well, I am excited today to continue our Taste of Directors series. And in this series of videos, what we do is we choose a specific director for each video. And in that video, we'll focus on 3 to 4 films from her or his filmography that just give you a taste and a flavor for what that director has to offer. Now, I know that choosing 3 to 4 films does not in any way fully encompass the work of any director, as many of these directors have been doing it for multiple decades. You know, some of these directors have made 30 plus films. So focusing on just 3 to 4 films does not give you the full depth and breadth of that filmmaker's work. But the intent here is to focus on 3 to 4 films that gives you a decent cross section of that filmmaker's work to give you a flavor of their contribution to cinema. So in today's edition of Taste of Directors series, the spotlight goes on a filmmaking sibling duo in Hollywood who are responsible for some of the most dynamic and entertaining films over the past 35 years. And that sibling filmmaking duo is none other than Joel and Ethan Coen, known as the Coen Brothers. So today we're going to be talking about this incredibly talented filmmaking duo. They're involved in screenwriting, producing, editing, directing, all aspects of filmmaking, and they have made some absolutely incredible films over the last few decades, including many films that I think a lot of you are fans of, and I know I'm a fan of as well. So I'm really looking forward to talking about the Coen Brothers in this edition of Taste of Directors series. So let me talk a little bit about the Coen Brothers, their background. They were both born and raised in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis. Older brother Joel was born in November 1954 and Ethan was born in September 1957. Their mother Rena was an art historian at St. Cloud State University, and father Edward Coen was an economist at the University of Minnesota. The brothers' interest in cinema began at an early age through watching various television programs and, interestingly enough, through the films of Federico Fellini, which I find interesting because I'm a big Fellini fan myself. So Federico Fellini was an early inspiration for these brothers. So after graduating from high school, the Coen brothers studied at the Bard College of Simon's Rock in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Joel would then go on to undergraduate studies at New York University, NYU, and Ethan would go on to study at Princeton University. Joel has been married to actress Frances McDormand since 1984. Frances McDormand has appeared in a number of Coen brothers films, and brother Ethan married Trisha Cook in 1990. Including their 1984 debut Blood Simple, the Coen brothers have been responsible for directing and producing around 19 feature films since that time in a variety of genres. The Coen brothers films reflect their unique signature style in that they defy your standard definitions of genres. They're really more genre-bending type films that present riveting narratives with compelling characters in very interesting situations that don't fit into the box of any one standard genre. Their stories have a way of drawing you into their world, pulling you into their world and into the world of the characters that inhabit that world that they built in each of their films, and makes you feel like you're a part of that world, having a front row seat to the action. And you literally cannot wait to see what's going to happen next in their films, the way that they built the tension and the suspense along the way. Their films are absolutely unique in that aspect. The Coen brothers duo has been nominated for multiple Academy Awards, and the duo has won Oscars for films Fargo and No Country for Old Men. Now, of course, in this Taste of Directors series, this spotlight would not be complete if I didn't at least mention some recent news. I think many of you have probably heard in the news and on the internet that the Coen brothers quite possibly have directed their last film together. Of course, no one knows the future. We don't know for sure, but that appears to be a possibility based on recent news that they might have split. Now, I've heard a rumor that Ethan Coen signed on with the Russo brothers. I don't know if that's true or not. Let me know in the comments below if you know anything about that, or if you have any confirmed reports of that. So that's a piece of interesting news. We'll see if we see any future projects from the Coen brothers. But the purpose of this video is to celebrate the work that the Coen brothers have done so far as a filmmaking duo, and just to celebrate some of the great films that have entertained us through the years. So in today's Taste of Director series, I'm going to focus on 4 films from the Coen brothers that I think represents a pretty good cross-section of their work. And these are films that I have enjoyed over the years and that I absolutely love. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts about these movies. They are 1984's Blood Simple, their filmmaking debut, 1996's Fargo, 1998's The Big Lebowski, and 2007's incredible No Country for Old Men. So these are the 4 films that I'm going to focus on in today's Taste Director series for the Coen brothers. So without any further ado, let's get started with talking about Blood Simple. Got my Gavalia coffee here, my signature blend. It's pretty good. I take my coffee with a little bit of cream and sugar. Let me know in the comments below if you take your coffee black or do you do cream and sugar in your coffee. I can't quite go full black yet with my coffee. I've tried to reduce the sugar and the cream over the years, and maybe someday, but I'm not quite there yet. Let me know in the comments below how you take your coffee. But we're going to start off talking about Blood Simple. This is the Criterion Collection edition of Blood Simple, and this was their filmmaking debut. This is also the feature film acting debut for Frances McDormand, Joel Coen's wife, and they were married this same year. So in Blood Simple, bar owner Julian Marty, played by Dan Hedaya, suspects his wife Abby, Frances McDormand, is cheating on him with bartender Ray, played by John Getz. He hires private detective Lauren Visser, played by M. Emmett Walsh, to investigate, and this sets into motion the events of this fascinating feature film debut. This is the Criterion Collection edition of Blood Simple, and this is a fantastic film from the Coen brothers. If you're someone who's not familiar with the Coen brothers' work and you want to know what is a good place to start with the Coen brothers' filmography, Blood Simple is a great place to start because it gives you the very beginnings of their filmmaking career as a filmmaking duo. This is their feature film debut, and it is an absolutely fantastic story. This story is so gripping and suspenseful and riveting. It's only got a few characters that it's focused on here, but these characters are so interesting and developed and complex. Whether it's Frances McDormand's character, Abby, John Getz's character, Ray, the private investigator, M. Emmett Walsh, is very interesting. And of course, Marty, the bar owner's character, is very complex. None of these characters are straightforward. They're all very deeply complex and layered. And their motivations are also very interesting to explore as you go through this film and how they develop these characters. So this is a great film from the Coen brothers, and this is a fantastic addition from the Criterion Collection that features a new 4K digital transfer. The picture on here is absolutely fantastic. I love the setting of this film in Texas. The Coen brothers do a really nice job of world building with this film, which is something that you see in their other films as well, like Fargo and No Country for Old Men. The outdoor scenes in Texas and the bar scenes and the neon motif that you see featured in this film comes across beautifully with this nice 4K digital transfer. You also have some really nice interviews on here with Frances McDormand and M. Emmett Walsh as well. So this is an overall great addition from the Criterion Collection of a fantastic film from the Coen brothers. It's their feature film debut, Blood Simple from 1984. Definitely check this one out. All right, going from Blood Simple in 1984 to 12 years later, a dozen years later, the Coen brothers connect with Frances McDormand again for 1996's Fargo. This is a fantastic film. It says on here, a thriller by Joel Coen and Ethan Coen. This is an absolutely amazing film from the Coen brothers starring Frances McDormand. And it says on here, a lot can happen in the middle of nowhere. And I think that is one of the best aspects of Fargo. The story of Fargo takes place in Fargo, Minnesota, in a very small town, simple people, and it's not your typical big time New York City, LA type story. It's a story set in a simple setting with simple people living simple lives, and the Coen brothers spin a narrative in that setting that is so riveting that it blows the socks off of so many films set in those bigger, more supposedly interesting places. So that's what I love about Fargo. So in Fargo, Frances McDormand plays Marge Gunderson. She's a pregnant Minnesota police chief investigating roadside homicides that ensue after a desperate car salesman, played by William H. Macy, he hires two criminals, Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare, to kidnap his wife in order to extort $1 million ransom from his father-in-law, played by Harve Presnell in this film. This film was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, winning 2. Best Actress for Frances McDormand and Best Original Screenplay for the Coen Brothers. So this is an absolutely fantastic film. The story is just absolutely incredible. The characters are amazing. And this is an example of the incredible writing of the Coen Brothers, how they're able to take a simple setting and create an incredibly riveting, compelling narrative in that simple setting. Frances McDormand is absolutely masterful in her performance as Marge Gunderson in this film. Seeing Marge at work doing her police chief thing in her unique investigating style, and then also seeing her domestic life with her husband, is some of the most interesting and entertaining aspects of this film. Another hugely entertaining aspect of this film is seeing the character of William H. Macy, how he has spun himself in this huge mess. He's in big financial trouble. He's a shifty car salesman. He's got himself into a lot of debt, a lot of crazy financial dealings. And so he's desperate. He's doing desperate things. And that's why he's spun this plot to have his wife kidnapped to extort a ransom from his father-in-law. And all of the events that spin off from that are part of what makes this an incredible film with incredible characters. Frances McDormand and William H. Macy drive this incredible film. And it is definitely a film that you will not forget. If you have not seen Fargo, do yourself a favor, check this one out. This is 1996's Fargo from the Coen Brothers. Another swig of the Gavalia. Okay, fast forward 2 years after Fargo, after winning 2 Academy Awards for that film, the Coen Brothers released another knockout film introducing a legendary character, the Dude, and that is none other than 1998's The Big Lebowski. This is The Big Lebowski, starring Jeff Bridges and John Goodman. This is from 1998, and this is an absolutely knockout, hilarious comedy crime film from the Coen Brothers, featuring legendary performances by these two, by Jeff Bridges and John Goodman. And I have to tell you, if you have not seen this film, if you have not experienced the world of the Dude, I would tell you, do whatever you have to do to either rent this movie or go buy it somewhere. This is an absolutely hilarious film from the Coen Brothers and is one of my absolute favorites from this filmmaking duo. Okay, so The Big Lebowski stars Jeff Bridges as the Dude. The Dude is a Los Angeles slacker. He doesn't work, he doesn't have a job, he's an avid bowler. And one day, as a result of a mistaken identity, he's assaulted, they pee on his rug, and then he learns that a millionaire by the same name, Jeffrey Lebowski, was the victim that they intended to hit. So the millionaire Lebowski, Jeffrey Lebowski's trophy wife, is kidnapped, and he then hires the Dude to deliver the ransom to secure her release. The Big Lebowski is one of the craziest, zaniest, just outright hilarious films that you will ever see. And that is a high-level summary of the plot of The Big Lebowski. This is an absolutely hilarious film from the Coen Brothers. And Jeff Bridges and John Goodman's portrayals of their characters in this film are legendary. This film has so many unforgettable quotes and lines in this film that you'll be thinking about and laughing about and quoting for days and even years after seeing this film. This is the 4K Ultra HD edition of The Big Lebowski, and this looks fantastic in 4K Ultra HD. You get a 5.1 DTS HD master audio soundtrack on here, so this film looks and sounds great. 4K Ultra HD picture looks great, the sound is phenomenal, And this is just a great film all the way around. I mean, the characters are crazy. The dude is one of the best characters that I've seen portrayed in films. Overall, this is one of the best and most entertaining films from the Coen Brothers. In my view, a discussion of the Coen Brothers would not be complete without including the Big Lebowski. So I had to include this one in my 4 films. There was no way around it. This one had to be included. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this film, The Big Lebowski, what you think about the dude, and where does The Big Lebowski rank for you amongst the Coen Brothers films? Let me know that in the comments below. This is The Big Lebowski from 1998. All right, so far we've covered 3 films from the Coen Brothers. We've covered their very beginning with Blood Simple in 1984. We fast forwarded a dozen years later to the legendary film Fargo from 1996. We talked about the dude in The Big Lebowski in 1998, and that brings us further into the future to 2007 to what is, for me, my absolute favorite film from the Coen Brothers, and that is none other than 2007's No Country for Old Men. This film, No Country for Old Men, is one of my top 25 personal favorite films of all time, and it is, for me, my favorite of the Coen Brothers films. As it says here, an instant classic. This is a film that is incredible on so many levels. It is, for me, the most riveting narrative that the Coen Brothers have put forth that I've seen to date. And this is a film starring Tommy Lee Jones, Javier Bardem, and Josh Brolin in this incredible Coen Brothers film. And it says here at the bottom, there are no clean getaways. I tell you what, this film is an instant classic, and it is one of the great films that has come out in the last 20 years. And this film won the Academy Award for Best Picture from 2007. And Javier Bardem won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his unforgettable performance as Anton Chigurh in this film. Once you see his performance in this movie, you will never forget it. This is just one of those films where it features a character and a villain that you will never, ever forget. That's how amazing Javier Bardem's performance is in this movie, along with the performances of Tommy Lee Jones and Josh Brolin that make this such a compelling and unforgettable story. No Country for Old Men follows the story of 3 main characters. You got Llewellyn Moss, who's played by Josh Brolin. He's a Vietnam War veteran, and he's also a welder who happens to stumble upon a large sum of money, I think $2 million, in the desert. Anton Chigurh, who's played brilliantly by Javier Bardem, is a mysterious and enigmatic hitman who is tasked with recovering the money. You have Ed Tom Bell, who's played by Tommy Lee Jones, who's a local sheriff who's investigating the crime. The film also stars Kelly MacDonald as Moss's wife, Carla Jean, and Woody Harrelson plays a bounty hunter who is charged with finding Moss and recovering the $2 million. This film is an action thriller like none other, and the story is absolutely amazing. It goes in such unexpected directions. This story pulls you in from the very beginning. You're right there in Texas with these characters, and it's one of the most compelling narratives you will ever see. I describe No Country for Old Men as being very much like being in the Wild Wild West in modern times. So that's basically the way I would describe No Country for Old Men in the most simplistic way. And the performances of all 3 of these leads is second to none, headlined, of course, by Javier Bardem's Anton Chigurh. If you have not seen No Country for Old Men, definitely do yourself a favor and check this film out. This is a film you will not forget. This is 2007's No Country for Old Men by Joel and Ethan Coen from 2007, starring Tommy Lee Jones, Josh Brolin, and Javier Bardem. Definitely do yourself a favor and check this one out. No Country for Old Men. All right, so there you have it. Those are the 4 films I wanted to focus on for the Coen Brothers. You got Blood Simple from 1984, their feature film debut, Fargo from 1996, featuring an unforgettable performance by Frances McDormand in a fantastic story. You've got 1998's The Big Lebowski, starring Jeff Bridges as the dude. And then you've got 2007's No Country for Old Men, my personal favorite of the Coen Brothers films. Let me know in the comments below what you think about these films, and let me know what are your favorite films from the Coen Brothers. And also, if you had to pick a favorite of the Coen Brothers films, what would that be? What is your favorite film from the Coen Brothers? Now, I also want to take just a quick moment to share. There are some other films from the Coen Brothers that you might want to consider that I have in my collection. One of those films is a film called Inside Llewyn Davis. Now, this is a film from 2013. It's in the Criterion Collection. And this is a wonderful, wonderful folk music story that you might want to check out. This is just a fantastic film. And just from a technical standpoint, this is one of the best additions available, I think, in the Criterion Collection from a total package standpoint. In terms of the picture quality, is absolute top notch. This Blu-ray sparkles. I mean, this is a 4K digital transfer with one of the very best and cleanest pictures that you will ever see. It is absolutely phenomenal to look at. It also features a 5.1 DTS HD Master Audio soundtrack, and that's one of the big features of this film is the sound, is the music, is that folk music. You've got Oscar Isaac in this film, you've got Justin Timberlake in this film, and the music is a big part of this film, and I highly recommend this one. It's Inside Llewyn Davis from the Coen Brothers. The supplements on here are also absolutely phenomenal. They talk a lot about folk music. You also have some conversations on here between Guillermo del Toro and the Coen Brothers. So this is a absolute powerhouse edition from Criterion, Inside Llewyn Davis. You might also want to check out Raising Arizona from the Coen Brothers as well. Another Coen Brothers film featuring Nick Cage and Holly Hunter. And of course, you have here Miller's Crossing, which is a Coen Brothers film starring Gabriel Byrne, Marcia Gay Harden, John Turturro, and Albert Finney. So this is another one you may want to check out in addition to the 4 that I featured in this Taste of Directors series. So that's all I have for this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.